Hi, welcome to Open Debate. This is Brandon Murphy and Alex Cash. Before we get into the podcast here, I would like to thank our sponsors for giving us a place to speak into some microphones. Halo Studio. Thanks, Dave. I appreciate you giving us a home.
Yes, and that's right. It's called Open Debate. It's another political show. I get it. No one likes talking politics here, but don't worry. This one's just a little bit different here because not only are we going to challenge people, not only are we going to question people, but we're actually going to do things on here. We're going to create action. We're going to let people know how you can be involved, what we're going to be doing, and more importantly, our goal as millennials here, because I'm 24, Brando's 23 here.
What up, gang?
Ooh, whatever.
Yeah.
But our goal is not only to have our voices heard, not only to change something, but our goal is to influence the election because we think there's a lot of things that are wrong, not just in the Democratic Party in our world, but there's a lot of things wrong with the process. We'll go over some of that stuff tonight, but first things first is that we want to make sure that you guys understand that we're building what's called the future, and we're part of it, and we are trying to make sure that our voices are heard and creating the world that ought to be, because that's the only thing that you, me, and everyone else deserves.
Nicely said. And that's why you do the intro.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and I think the important thing to highlight here is that as we go through each segment, Alex and I are going to be taking a deep dive into particular subjects, everything from universal health care to different radical ideas, universal basic income. We're going to be challenging experts on either side, and by the end of each segment, we're going to have an informed decision, which I think is going to separate us from our fellow compatriots on the podcast spheres.
Or not. We might just have more information. I mean, some of this stuff is really confusing and it's kind of hard. But
you don't think we'll make a decision?
Well, maybe. Sometimes we will.
I'm a pretty decisive person.
That's sure, but look at this conversation alone, right?
Yeah.
But
it might take us like a month. But
absolutely.
We'll
but
figure it out.
We're at least going to get more information involved into it. You know, we're gonna simplify some of the bigger issues because I think some of these things are so complex. But more importantly here, outside of just all of that, it's going to be another avenue for open dialogue, and that's why we called it Open Debate. Is that not only are we going to bring in experts, but we're going to make this to way we're going to have interaction with people who are watching, where your questions and your concerns are going to be heard. If there's topics you want to go over, we'll let you know how that. Hit us up on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Open Debate, POD, like pod. That's where we're going to be from here on out. And don't worry.
Like a podcast. I get it. That's funny.
Weird, right?
Yeah,
it's like what
creative.
we're doing here.
Good job.
But you know what's even better here is that I've been already blowing up our Twitter and kind of like calling out Trump and like trying to get his attention.
Oh, really?
One day will tweet back. I promise it, but it won't be.
Oh, yeah. Hopefully one day he'll just block us.
Even better. That would be the best part.
Yeah.
A couple things that you guys want to know, because we're going to kind of break this down here, and the reason why we have it set up with the way we do and why we have a computer here is we're going to be openly fact checking people. We don't want to talk out of our ass, just like how we don't want people to just spew crap at you guys. And it's going to be something where we're going to make sure that we're speaking accurately. It might be something where we need to get a fact. We'll research it, because again, this is a very open dialogue. But more importantly, outside of that, here it's just it's an opinion based, and we want to hear from you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So tonight here, we're going to go over a couple things. We're going to go over the political party. We have a debate coming up, so we're going to be talking about a debate and how insane our political party, the Democratic Party, is, and how insane our president is as well. Don't get me wrong. We are not conservatives. We are cold-hearted liberals that just don't believe we're in the right direction.
Cold-hearted?
Well, you know how it is. I mean, we started a podcast. What else are you going to expect from cold-hearted people is to start a podcast?
Maybe a little vain, yeah.
Yes, exactly.
We have a camera on, too, because we want our faces in this as well.
Yes, and we did a great job with these microphones, as we can all see.
Yeah.
But we're going to go over
Dave.
the process. Yes, thank you, Dave, and wherever we're at.
Halo Studio.
My bad. It's my bad. It's just a long day. You know how it goes, because we all have to work here, and we made politics so complicated that we now have to create this debate. First here, and we're going to
take a look at.
Yeah, we're going to kind of divert you over into the New York Times. Thank you, whoever wrote this here.
And to be clear, we're not just staring into the camera right now. There's a screen above the camera where we're looking at the same thing that you guys are.
Yes.
It does look a little weird.
And here's where our point is that we get it, that there's a lot of people who want to run for president. There's a lot of people who have a lot of different ideas. We're going to go over some of those ideas, and we're going to challenge some of those ideas. But one of my biggest problems that I'm having is that it is currently November 19th, and I have 18 people running for one party seat. not only does this like create an issue with how our parties are and how our national debates are, but when we have 18 people running for president, that means a lot of money is involved and a lot of portrays being involved. And then what's awesome about New York Times here is that they actually created it where you can see how much media coverage each person is getting, which is pretty balanced right now, whereas a week ago it was not as balanced. But I have to ask, and Brandon, I want your opinion on this, is that if we have 18 people running for president of the United States, and some of these people are literally at 0%, and a lot of them are at 1 or 2%, why are so many people running for president? Why are we just getting back behind one candidate and going to defeat Trump together? I mean, isn't it going to take one guy to beat Trump out of office?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think at this point, the reason these people are running for president is because they're just trying to get on the debate stage. It's just a popularity contest. They're just trying to raise money. They're just trying to get screen time. There are only 5 people up there that actually want to run for president and have a chance. Everyone else just wants screen time and they want campaign finance.
So how many people do you think, let's say hypothetically, right, that the Democratic Party loses in 2020, which there's a good chance of it. I have strong opinions of it. We'll go over it.
Yeah.
Nice. How many of these people do you think have a legitimate chance at one point in time in their lives to be president of the United States? Let's take Andrew Yang, please, for an example.
Yeah, I think he has a shot.
Really?
And throughout his life.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
You don't
this
think
election? No, probably not.
Okay, so he's definitely not going to get the nomination this year.
Not at
Whether
3%.
if you're a Yang supporter or not, I'm not trying to diss people right off the bat, but let's just be realistic. Yang's not going to win the Democratic nominee in 2020.
No,
he's polling at 3%. 3%.
But he should absolutely run for Senate, even though he says he doesn't want to. He should run for Senate, and then a few elections can absolutely become president, I think. But if we're going to talk about this upcoming election, I think there's 1, 2, 3, maybe 4.
4 people?
4.
Okay, so let's say the Democratic Party loses 2020. We're now in 2024, 8 years after Trump, which, by the way, environment would be screwed by then. We'll go over the environment tonight. Don't worry. Our policies are going to be screwed if this guy isn't impeached by then, which we'll talk about that a little bit.
Shocked.
I mean, this whole process is ridiculous. I don't think the Democratic Party is doing them justice by the impeachment process. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But you legitimately think that in, let's say, 2024, Andrew Yang would run for president again?
I mean, in your dystopian future that you've just painted, I don't know what
reality. Welcome to reality. Seriously. I mean, this is like Donald Trump.
Way.
I mean, Donald Trump ran in 2016. He ran for a little bit, but here's the difference between Donald Trump and Andrew Yang. Here is that Donald Trump was actually polling. He had double digits. He was running for president of the United States. It took him a while to get out of the actual process of the election in 2016, or whenever he first ran here. The problem obviously is that he won. He won in 2016. It's 2012 is the first candidacy. My bad. See, look, we're already fact checking each other.
Yeah,
we're live.
Didn't even need the internet for that one.
Yeah, exactly. That was just all up here.
Wow.
But okay, 2012, right? He's running for president. He's actually polling. 2016, everyone thought he was an outside chance in hell, right? And people can argue that with Andrew Yang, but Trump is polling higher than that. And so why is
that's just because Trump plays the popularity contest.
Why is Andrew Yang running for president?
You're asking me?
Yeah, why not? I mean,
I'm not a representative.
We have a video
of
you supporting Andrew Yang. That you created a 30-second blip.
You have a video
of you saying that you support Andrew
policy.
Yang.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What was that policy?
No, I'm not getting into that.
Are you sure?
Get out of
You're
here.
right. You're right. We're not going to because that's next
saved
week.
For later.
That's next week.
We'll have someone who can actually argue those points who will come in next week.
And that's the nice part about what the open debate's going to be is that we're going to go that in depth. We're going to have an actual expert here, and that's something we're going to drill into them. We're going to make them. When we ask a question, we're going to actually get an answer. Because the problem that I'm having here, and part of the reason why Brandon and I started this here, is that something that we're going to experience tomorrow, which hopefully tomorrow is November 20th, and that's when we're actually going to be putting this up online. So today, basically, is that there's a presidential Democratic debate. And we're going to have 10 people be on stage again. We're going to be running for president. And what I've noticed is that sometimes we get into policies, sometimes we let the candidates pass by the answer or the question that they're having. Their answer is just complete BS.
And they only get 15 seconds anyway, and then they run 3 times over their time anyway. We can get into that later, but
it's crazy.
Yeah, but we're going to give so-called experts the opportunity to give an explanation in a longer format. They're not CNN not giving them that opportunity. MSNBC, it doesn't matter. You come into a podcast, there are very few people out there that have given, other than like Bernie Sanders, Tulsi Gabbard, and Yang, that have gone on podcasts, to my knowledge, to actually give a long format answer to a complicated question. And we're not going to let them give us any stupid bullshit sound bites. We're going to get the real answer.
Granted, let's just be real. We're not going to have the candidates on our show. Maybe
Oh,
one
yeah,
day.
we will. Yeah,
Maybe
we will.
one day.
Definitely.
But at least like
We could get fucking scroll down. We could get one of these people.
I mean,
Come on.
they're polling at 0%.
Who the hell is
what else are
this
they going
guy?
to be doing?
This guy's at nothing.
Yeah. So anyway, I okay, appreciate that answer. That's good. But
one of
at
these
the end of the
jackasses
day, I mean, we will be bringing people on from the campaigns. We're going to be bringing as many experts as we can, and more importantly, we're going to hold people accountable to our questions or to your questions, because I mean, what is it fair? Did it not have a proper answer? All right, so let's get into the debate here, because that's one thing that I wanted to talk about tonight, and that's part of the reason why we started this is that we don't have a proper debate. And we're gonna get in the money and the funding in just a minute here too. But okay, one of my favorite shows, we talked about it a long time, is The Newsroom on HBO, right? And there's that famous moment where the main actor goes absolutely crazy on stage, calls out America, as we all should, by the way. Yes, I'm talking to you, conservative Rush Limbaugh. We're not the greatest country anymore. But that show goes on and kind of calls out, saying, "Man, this is what's wrong with our media: is that it's so politically infused. It has so many, so much money behind it, so much discretion, and more importantly, there's so much power inside of that newsroom, and we're not being transparent with the situation. So let's say on the off chance, Brandon, that we make it big and we start getting money. Are we going to keep that money, or where do we want to do with it?
No way. Got to put it somewhere else.
Where should we put it?
I don't know. I kind of feel like maybe you should save the environment just a little bit.
Wow, that's crazy. I mean, it's not like we have a massive...
That's my first shot out there, maybe. I don't
know. Because it's not like there's a massive climate, crisis. Not even change. It's a crisis of being able to help preserve our planet.
Who's calling it a crisis?
Everyone.
Okay.
Me,
you
in particular,
right.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and again, let's watch what we do here, because it's going to be something where, we want to make sure that not only can we watch and see how everything is going, but it's something that we can be transparent with each and every one of our viewers here. Because as we all know here, with climate change that's happening, our atmosphere is getting warmer, our oceans are melting.
So is climate crisis just the new word for global warming? It was global warming, then climate change, and now it's climate crisis.
Basically, right?
Okay.
I mean, because it's all about metaphor. It's all about what are we talking about? What's the phrase? It's politics, man. It's politics.
But there hasn't been crisis. To me, crisis would imply like.
Well, let's go ahead and look. What is climate crisis? Well, I mean, they need to. And that's part of the problem here. And that's part of the reason why we're doing this too, is that they absolutely need to. Because here's my problem here, especially with what's going on with our planet, is not only are we losing our oxygen, not only are we temperatures rising, oceans are going to be rising. I mean, there's so many catastrophic things that happens behind that I don't think people understand. Is that if our oceans rise, that means 1 billion people have to go inland. Not only do we run
1 billion?
Well, yeah. Well, how many people live on the coast throughout the world? All right, we'll go ahead and do that. But it's going to be 1 billion.
That's 1/4 of the world population. So
1/7, but
seven. No.
Attaboy.
Yeah,
there we go.
Yeah.
But it's going to be something. We have so many people who migrate inland, and then we're going to have a food issue. We're going to have a supply issue with our food. I mean, we're leading to a natural disaster that most people can't understand.
Billion?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We're talking about the world.
The world, yeah.
We're not talking about America, right? Because
we say the free world when we refer to America, so it's hard to. And then the Super Bowl champs are champions of the world.
Look at this. It's 1.04 billion people live in coastal aspects in the world. So let's go ahead and take out the whole oceans rising stuff. Let's go ahead and take out something of that nature would happen, which by the way I think it is, and we have a lot. We're going to have plenty of shows that are talking about the environment. If we have scientists that are stating these issues, that say there is a massive climate change emergency, crisis, concern, whatever it needs to be. I mean, we've seen Bill Nye on all those shows that put a flame on the earth, saying we're totally screwed.
Earth is on fire.
Yeah, exactly. Well, come on, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But anyway, if we have people who are doing this, that means that there is a clear problem. Right? These are some of the top-minded people in the entire world. There is a clear problem that is happening. How are we not addressing it? And more importantly, how does a country like ours pull out of like the Green New Deal? How are we pulling out of policies that other countries are being supportive, and we're not? We the people are not holding those people accountable.
Right. I'm not familiar with that decision. Whose administration leader led that one?
Trump.
Yeah, shocker. Wow, I'm so wait, where's our fun button? Nice.
That's clever.
Glad I hit the right button there.
But this is something
been
that,
another
I mean,
word.
with the Green New Deal, I mean, the United States, I mean, we can go ahead and see on Wikipedia, which we're going to use every resource we can. It doesn't really matter online over here. But you have a powerful country like the United States. You're going to pull out the Green New Deal. This is something that a ton of other countries are going to be part of.
And what does it do?
It's creating regulations, making sure that we're bringing down our O2 levels in our atmosphere. And so it's something that, a lot of different countries, it's a whole bunch of different ideas. Do I know the specifics? No. Am I the expert? No. I'm going to be the one complaining about it. Okay?
And I'd like to point out that that's the other part of this podcast is this is something Alex and I have been doing since we were teenagers. Is he gets really hyped up and ramped up on a subject, and then I ask him about it, and then we laugh and have a ton of fun. So
and you're going to do the same thing.
There will be a lot of me going, I don't know what the hell that is.
So anyway,
he'll explain it to
we
me.
have the Green New Deal, right? And we're not going to get into specifics because that's not what tonight's episode is for. But we're talking about a powerful country, the United States, pulling out, and an idea that depending on how severe or not it is, we're going to bring in an expert. We're going to talk about that in a couple of weeks anyway. But if we have a powerful country that says, we're going to pull out, and most of the country is not happy with this, we can move on with this. And then we have that same leader who gives a call to Ukraine and goes ahead and start this pride process. I mean, seriously, no, we have to question ourselves.
Yeah.
If we can ask ourselves, like, man, he's making really dangerous decisions. Man, we have to question the integrity of the United States national security while this man is in office. Isn't the Democratic Party should be focused on one thing and one thing only, and that's defeating Trump?
Yeah.
Okay, so why do we have 18 candidates running for president?
I don't know. Maybe the idea is the more quantity that you have, the better odds to find that one golden boy that'll.
I think that's crazy.
Hold on, golden boy or girl.
I think that's crazy. I think what we have to do as the Democratic Party, we need to sway all of our support. Not one, not two, not the three people. We need to find one candidate. We put all of our backing behind, and we all get out there to collectively to make sure we elect the future president of the United States. That it's going to be someone who's going to put us into a better, better aspects with our environment, better allies across the world, and be able to bring common sense back into the presidency.
But then even then, like that should be the. I think to your point of what you're saying is that there should be sub-points to the overall point of which one of you fucks can defeat Trump, right? Because
correct, and that's the point of the Democratic debate, right?
Let's ask that question 80% of the next debate, but they're not even going to touch on it. They'll be like, what do you think of the fucking thing that happened on the Ellen show? Blah 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 blah, and then they'll get 15 seconds on it, but nobody really gives a shit. Also, how, and I don't really claim to know much about this kind of stuff, but how is Biden at the top of this fucking list? If we want somebody, if that's the goal, your goal is someone that's going to beat Donald Trump, you're going to put him at the top, the least charismatic, the least sharp.
That's not.
I know, but he's polling.
That's the national.
I know.
Average.
You, as in America, you fucks are going to put it at.
Who do you support? Can you say today who you would vote for?
No. Who I would vote for right now? Like,
Correct.
let's say I got to vote tomorrow.
Correct. Yeah. But who would you say that we have the best
Sanders.
chance? Okay, you think Bernie Sanders is the best chance to defeat Donald Trump?
Yeah.
Okay,
for
go
sure.
ahead. Can you elaborate a little bit more?
Okay, well, so from what I've seen, based on his policies, and then most importantly, him in the debates, if the goal is to defeat Trump at this popularity contest that is running for president, he has the capability of doing this because he's just the sharpest. Biden doesn't seem there anymore. I get that they're both old. Maybe Bernie's a little older. Biden's having a hard time putting some sentences together. Sorry, pal. I don't know what to tell you. Warren's fine. I think she holds herself together well. The only problem is she's going to fall to the same shit that Hillary fell for. She's a little more charismatic. It's not going to happen. Bernie's been making the same arguments for 65 fucking years. He's going to make them again and again and again. And he can be unfazed because he's been doing this for so long. Just like he's been unfazed on stage for the past however many debates there have been. He'll be fine up against Trump, and then I think he'll win the popularity.
Okay,
let me most importantly, he'll figure out someone has to figure out a way to win the proper states, because we keep forgetting Trump didn't fucking win by a popularity contest. He won by Florida.
Well, okay, and I think that's going into electoral college, and that's something I'm sure we're going to address here.
But your question is,
let me go ahead and
Trump.
pivot. Correct. So let me go ahead and pivot one more time here. So we have the aspect of who do you feel like is the best candidate that you put on one-on-one to defeat Donald Trump? Forget policies, forget the future.
Yeah.
You would pick Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go ahead and let's take away that Trump factor. Let's say with the Republican Party, the Democratic Party, that we have a good, well qualified candidate. let's go ahead and say Mitt Romney, right? Someone who
How about instead John McCain?
right. So you have John McCain, a
I liked him.
well-respected
He's a good dude.
individual who can either pull from
R.I.P.
both sides of the aisle
Yep.
and can pull independents.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's say we're in a party aspect here. Who would you put against someone like John McCain for policy? Who would win because of the best policies to help build the best future that we can, not for just my generation, but for the next generation to come?
I don't know, Bernie.
You'd also pick
I
Bernie?
still pick Bernie. Yeah.
So okay, I'm the same way with you here, but a lot of people disagree, and I think that's part of the reason why Biden and Warren are polling so high. I think that people in the national sense here, I think people are making decisions in two different ways here this year in the election. I think one way is who's got the most different, craziest idea. I think that's part of the reason why Andrew Yang is still running for president, because he has a crazy idea.
Yeah.
And then same thing. Who doesn't have a crazy idea? But same thing with Bernie. Now, granted, I am a Bernie Sanders supporter. I think that he's going to be the best one. We'll go into that in just a second. But Bernie Sanders, for example, he has a lot of big, crazy ideas. And I think that's part of the reason why he pulls people like us in our age is because of his crazy good ideas.
Yeah.
Notice I said good.
Yeah.
Biased opinion here.
Yeah.
But so I think that's one way how a lot of people are viewing the election. I think that's why millennials will vote, is who's got the better ideas.
A favorable idea.
Correct.
Well,
So-
and then, but on that point, for Bernie versus Warren, I still don't understand why they seem to think that she has. And I heard this the other day. I want to fact check this now.
Okay.
Somebody told me recently that Elizabeth Warren was a registered Republican until she was like 45. And if that's the case, get the fuck out of the Democratic National Party.
Whoa. Okay,
45.
Let's go
Are
ahead
you
and make that
fucking
same argument.
kidding
Did you
me?
know that Donald Trump used to be a registered Democrat?
Yeah, for sure. He should
Okay.
know. Yeah, but he was.
And did you
he
know that
wasn't
prior
in
to him going
politics.
into so before him going into politics, if you ask him a lot about ideas, and there's a ton of clips out there, we're not going into this and that. This is way beyond that debate here.
Yeah.
But he had a lot of liberal ideas.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And so, okay, Mr. Donald Trump here, the president of the United States, he ran for president. He won. Do you think he expected to win?
No, I don't think so. I still don't think he knows what the fuck's going on. I think every day he wakes up and he's like, oh, shit. I'm
So
president.
who do you think is making most of the decisions? Yes, she was a registered Republican from 1991 to 1996.
The year I was born.
Elizabeth Warren was a Republican Party those 4 years. You know what's interesting about those 4 years? You know who was president during that time?
The year I was born, no.
You don't know who was president for the first part of the 90s?
No.
Bill Clinton.
Okay.
He was president. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so here's my interest here, and what I think would be a very good question to ask Elizabeth Warren tomorrow at the debate. What made you be a registered Republican?
Yeah. No
More
one gives a
importantly, why did you switch to being back a Democrat? And I want to ask the same thing to Trump too. Why is he on the Republican Party? What made him change his ideas? I know, again, we all know how he's going to react. We're not going to go into it. I'm just curious if you
don't
push
care
that
about
button
his
just
response.
a little bit here. Again, we're going back to who can beat Donald Trump. Right? I mean, that's the main focus
I
why
think
the
that-
Democrats need to be
I don't
focusing
even
on
think that-
only this year is
yeah.
who can beat Donald Trump.
Right. I don't think that question for Trump even needs to be asked. The reason he ran for Republican is because that's the only party that would elect him. That's
good.
Like straight up. Like,
All right,
If
so-
he ran for the Democratic National Party, he wouldn't even gotten fucking close.
Let me pull out a crazy idea
Uh,
because, we millennials, we like crazy ideas.
yeah.
I think that if Bernie Sanders is a Democratic nominee, I bet he sweeps the country. I bet he takes 48 of the 50 states.
Yeah.
I bet he's
agree.
gonna. I bet he would be the one candidate
agree.
who can naturally put this country on unity. And then more importantly, because of how he has his policies and how he does things, I bet he can lead us in the correct direction.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think what we should do, and what we're going to put onto this debate here, is that, and one thing that's super nice is why it's called open debate, is I want to challenge us and having our first 5 episodes be other people of other candidates here for the Democratic Party and have them change our mind.
Yeah.
Can they change our mind? And then that way, and then we can really analyze how we're making our decision as well. Because I think that's another reason why this debate why we need to have this podcast here and allow us to be natural is that we need to simplify the issues.
Yeah.
We need to simplify what we're doing here.
I agree.
Because this is such a complex, he said, she said, what do you think? Oh my goodness. We need to unite, really, that we have one thing here. Our planet needs our help. Our planet needs our help. We have a huge environmental issue in which we need to be able to help it. Not only that, I think we've pissed off a lot of people. I think we've pissed off a lot of countries, and I think there's a lot of people who are becoming enemies of the United States. And I don't want to live in a country here where we're pissing everyone off. Now, granted,
I think we've been doing that for like my entire life.
and we're definitely going to be doing that with this podcast here.
Oh yeah, for sure.
100%. But my big thing here is I want to make sure that as we're building.
Can I touch back on what you said? So you said we need to simplify all these subjects and I want to harp on that because I think everyone has the right and everybody should vote. Okay, now including myself, myself who can't recall who was president in 1996, the year I was born. I don't fucking remember, nor do I care. For the most part, for the past couple of years, I haven't given a shit about politics. I've completely checked out. But I would still like to be able to go out, find the resources, make an educated decision, and be able to vote.
All right, let me open this up here for a second.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you something, and I know that we're going to talk about this next week a little bit as well.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a little bit of a preview, kind of where that discussion is going to be, but we have a couple guests for this as well. Should it be a requirement that everyone votes?
No.
Why?
Because there are a lot of people out there that I think should stay not voting.
Why?
Because I think that
you gotta get to the heart of it, man. This is what we're gonna be doing.
Look, as a patriot, the idea of freedom is having the ability to do something, which also gives you the ability not to do something. So we have the right to vote, also gives us the right not to vote. And I think that speaks to me as an integral part of America, right? If I want to be ignorant and not give a fuck, I can be ignorant and not give a fuck. It's a free country. If I want to go out there and plow fucking fields as a farmer and not pay attention to shit in eastern Colorado, which is where we are right now, no offense to those eastern Colorado farm people. If I want to go do that and not pay attention, that's fine. Don't vote, though. You're not paying attention, don't vote. But if they have to vote, now all those dumbasses are going to walk into the polls, the fucking wherever they're going to do it now, go into like the Amazon store to vote their fucking thing, and then they're going to have to vote, and they're going to pick wildly. And I think it'll muddy the political system more than it already is.
I disagree. I think it should be a requirement that everyone votes. I think that I believe that everyone should have their voices heard, and which is super awesome to be able to have this platform, this ability to be able to have that and have these kind of debates and these discussions. Yeah. However, though, I think when it comes down to leadership, that we have to decide as communities who is going to be our leader. Trump. I mean, look at the presidency itself here. That we as a community, the majority of us voted for a Democrat, and then the Republican got to be in the office here. But if we made a requirement that everyone had to vote, then that wouldn't be an issue here. I mean, we wouldn't have the electoral college. We would have to go after the majority. And the majority of people want to head a certain direction. We need to make sure that the majority is heard. But we're not even allowing it to be accessible or a requirement that everyone has their voices heard. Right. I think it has to be a requirement. I think that everyone has to be able to vote.
This is the platform to discuss these ideas. But to touch back on your idea because we'll dive into that deeper on the next episode. To touch back on the idea that we've pissed off a lot of countries. We've elected a leader who behaves himself. Yeah, you know where I'm going with this.
Nope, but go ahead. What I'm doing is I'm bringing up stuff to argue my point of view here. I don't know what your point of view is.
Well, next time I'll bring a computer.
You should have.
Well, I did, but I trusted you.
Anyway.
Mistake number one. Anyway, I'll be hosting next week. So if you can go, I want to show this video. So I think to get back to not pissing off other countries, we need to elect a leader who can represent himself in a charismatic way, in a very politically correct way, in a very calm, non-raging way, non-aggressive way. I can go on and on.
I get that you're trying to call me out here for a minute. I'm very passionate about this.
No, I'm not.
I get it, but what? So
I'd vote for you if you ran for president. Anyway, go to YouTube,
that.
YouTube.com. I want to point out. So Jimmy Kimmel pointed out this funny little video the other day. I'm not citing Jimmy Kimmel as a resource for anything serious, but he compared Donald Trump's speech to one of Obama's speeches, and I feel like it gives us a healthy check of what it used to be like when we had an actual president in office.
I love this idea. I think this is a very good idea. I think this is some. So
hold on. Pause the video. Oh, you got it paused. Okay.
Because I know that I had to join audio, of course.
No, you don't.
All right. So here's the thing: is that you and I watched this last night. And you and I got very lively on this debate here, and I think this is going to be something that's going to be a great kind of turning point for tonight, and something that we're going to, after this video here, I think we're going to turn into kind of more about why we're doing this, calling out a couple more things here, and then kind of putting the close on tonight's argument here. But this is something I think that kind of shows how much of a debacle the presidency is, how we've lost our trust, how things are going horribly, what proper leadership looks like, and then now granted, granted, don't get me wrong here. I'm not an Obama. I am an Obama lover, but I will also be the first one to say that I do believe that in 20 years, 10 years even, when we look back, I believe George W. Bush is going to be looked at as one of the best presidents we've ever had. We'll talk about that later. Okay. But so let's go ahead and watch this video, and we'll kind of dive into how this is going to go and why it's important, and I think really proves my point why everyone needs to vote.
No.
Obama went on TV to announce that they'd killed bin Laden. He spoke for 9.5 minutes. Trump yesterday did 48 minutes on this. And for further comparison, we thought it might be fun to match up Trump's speech about al-Baghdadi with Obama's about bin Laden. And we were right, it was.
The United States has conducted an operation that killed Osama bin Laden.
Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi is dead.
The United States launched a targeted operation against that compound.
They did a lot of shooting, and they did a lot of blasting, even not going through the front door. You know, you think you go through the door. If you're a normal person, you say, knock, knock, may I come in?
After a firefight, they killed Osama bin Laden and took custody of his body.
He died like a dog.
But his death does not mark the end of our effort.
A beautiful dog.
We give thanks for the men who carried out this operation.
And I don't get any credit for this, but that's okay. I never do.
Okay, first off, and I'm sorry, I'm going to pause this. I think the video is done anyway here.
It's not. It gets a little better. We'll
All right.
continue.
Well,
Yeah.
okay. First off, can we just go ahead and say that if I was seriously, if I was a group, I hate to say this, but if it was this particular group, we're not going to call out that word here.
Yeah.
But if I was this group, and this is the guy who's mocking me after this kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
Do you
for
get
40 what?
for 40 something minutes?
40 something minutes.
Okay.
Get the fuck out of here.
Do you hate me more?
Yeah,
I'm seriously.
absolutely.
He's just
Absolutely.
pounding chest. Do you hate me
Yeah.
more?
Oh, yeah.
Look at what I did. Do you hate me more? All right. I
Yeah.
agree. There's one more part
Yeah.
we
Hold
need
on,
to
hold
review
on,
here.
I got a mic up.
Here we are.
May God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America.
And I'm writing a book.
This person is not fit to be president of the United States. I can't stand this crap.
Hold on.
This is my leader. Oh God.
This is important.
All did very well.
I fucking hate that about him. What is that thing that he does where he goes, "Oh yeah, I wrote 12 books, all of them very well. No one knows China better than I do. China. Nobody fucking knows anything better than I do. Oh, trust me, I know the internet. I know technology. Nobody knows technology like I do. I fucking hate that weird neurotic thing that he does.
All right.
And then I want to touch back. I want to touch back to what he said here because it's important. Like I said, that was not a factual thing. That was definitely the liberal Jimmy Kimmel taking a lot of what he said out of context for
humor,
it to be
people.
funny.
It's humor.
Right? It's humor. Okay, when he was talking
This
about
is
the
so
dog,
funny.
when he was talking about the dog, he did say that the guy died like a dog, but to talk about the dog that ended up killing him. That was disclassified. They talk about the dog that ended up getting the confirmed kill. But still, nonetheless, even just if you look at the time, that is enough for everyone to shake their head. And then he says all this crazy shit like, yeah, they didn't even go through the front door. This is our fucking the head of our military. Well, good thing he's not making these decisions because he's like, oh, okay, we'll kill this guy. Let's try the front door.
Okay, so we have a chart here pulled up as well here, and this is the confidence that other countries have in our presidency. And again, this is not a hey, look at how awesome Obama is, but just by the way, let's go ahead and look at how awesome Obama is
It's
for
an
a quick
interesting
second.
statistic how that works.
But more importantly here, like okay, let's put aside that there's weirdly opinions on climate change. Don't know how that's possible, but
Right.
you know that's fact. But let's take away that major concern. All right, that the planet is dying. By the way, it's dying.
You're saying it's fact.
Yes,
Okay.
it's wait. Don't worry. This is
we
going to
go.
be something we're going to talk about.
I can't wait until we get
lot.
someone in here that says it's fact that there is no climate change.
I would be very scared if I was a viewer. I would. That would be the great point of here's why Alex is correct. But let's take aside that
Very new segment.
the confidence that the world has.
Okay, well,
currently-
you can't say the world. This is Europe.
Okay, these are our top 4 allies.
Right.
'Kay,
But in
our-
population size, they're not
so-
the world.
okay, whatever. I agree. Sorry, my bad. But
Yeah,
go ahead and look
better
at the
be
top
sorry.
4 allies. If
Yeah.
your allies are not trusting who is supposed to be the leader of our planet,
Not good.
this is something that
The leader of our country.
Yeah, well, our country, our planet. I mean,
You're
we
going
are.
to say that
we
the
are Americans.
president is the leader of the planet?
Well, I do believe that he's going to have one of the strongest voices. Don't you think?
Yeah, for sure. No doubt.
He or she, sorry, but I mean, since the United States has been born, has been a country since 1776. The United States is one of the most powerful countries in the entire world,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay, so if we have someone who's the most powerful person and has a lot of influence, it could create a lot of good, but
Yeah.
also create a lot of bad. But we're losing the trust in our allies. Now, obviously, we saw that no matter what the Republican president was, it was slightly lower anyway. I'm
Right.
sure that's the case because these are much more liberal countries. I don't think it's quite fair to kind of call that out entirely. You'll see on this page right here how sometimes, how other countries feel about our confidence as well. Even, our good friends from Russia is not even confident in us as well. I think that shows a lot
How are they
too.
even doing this?
I agree.
How are
But-
they getting these surveys out there? They're like they have little surveyor college kids knocking on doors in Russia.
Hey,
Can you answer a
here's
few
the
questions about the president?
Here's the
of the
nice thing
United
about
States?
all of our videos and all of our podcasts here is that all the information is down below. Everything that we've referenced in our show, down below. If you want to watch that humorous clip here of
The
Jimmy Kimmel,
description,
boom,
yeah.
down below. Also subscribe. You want to, I don't know where the
Yeah,
subscribe
hit the
button will
subscribe-
be. Yes, that's where
the
you want to
subscribe
be.
button.
Yes, we're going to be those people as well.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, okay?
Tell your friends.
y-
Ooh, and if you have any crazy conservative Trumpies in your family,
Please bring them on.
fuck
I really,
yes.
we need to go ahead and
Yes,
chat with
please,
them.
please.
But all right,
Send them
so
this podcast.
outside of that, okay, we're looking at the confidence. We have real crisis. We have real issues that are happening. We also have a financial aspect we haven't talked about in a while. And so here's my question here. Again, going back to the original subject, if I'm the Democratic Party, I have 18 candidates running for president. Why am I not focusing on one person to make sure we're not winning the general election?
Right.
I mean, this is ridiculous.
It is.
And this is going to be something that we're going to be pushing too. Is that
maddening.
we need to have one candidate. We need one person to run for office. And then here's what I would also like to do is that if you are in the bottom 5, and I'm sorry that Andrew Yang is in the bottom 5, people who love Andrew Yang,
Yang gang.
and then all the other 8% of you, I really would like to challenge
3.
Yep, you're right. It's 3, 2,
Sorry,
2,
Yang
2,
gang.
1, so 8%, whatever. I would like if you are running for president and your name appears below
Yes.
Andrew Yang on the polls,
Yes, it's
and you're
important.
seeing your names, I would like to challenge you to drop out of the race. I would like for you to swing all of your support into a different candidate and then donate the rest of your money to a place that plants trees, into
they
an organization that plants trees and be able to help save our planet on that environmental crisis.
Should they donate their campaign money to but because they can't share campaign finances, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So yeah, hell yeah.
Donate it. And this is
Donate
something
it.
that we need to be very transparent. I want to make sure each financial transcript is also released when you drop out of the race. But I'm going to challenge one particular person.
Yeah.
And this is actually one person that I don't think remembers me, but I distinctly remember him. When Mr. Michael Bennett was the superintendent for Denver Public Schools, the week that he left, I went into the Denver Public School Board, and I didn't go to Denver Public Schools. I went to Jefferson County to stake my case of why I believe that we need to put more power and education into our local schools. And the person who fought me the most was Mr. Michael Bennett. And Senator Michael Bennett, who is now senator of the state of Colorado, was someone who is appointed senator by Governor John Hickenlooper and then won re-election by our state as the Democratic nominee. I appreciate it here. But this gentleman here has never really pulled that high. And I appreciate the fact that he has $4.9 million. $4.9 million for Michael Bennett, who will never be the Democratic nominee for president ever, period, is running for president. I really would like to challenge that one particular individual to please, for the sake of our party, drop out of the race and support Bernie Sanders. And please donate the money to all 1.8 or $1.9 million or whatever you really have to onetreeplanted.org so that we are able to plant trees and start the climate resolution together on that one campaign. Now, granted, I want the rest of you guys to also drop out and also donate your money, but I feel like I can challenge particularly Michael Bennett as someone who has voted for, I voted for Senate a few years ago here in Colorado.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Why trees, Alex?
because that's going to be our first aspect of being able to help create oxygen. I mean, so trees. I'm glad
And
you
that's
asked this here.
this is the first step to saving the environment.
Correct. Yes, and
By
this is a
time.
multi-step issue. It's layers, right? It's onions, and we already know that cows contribute the most. I personally don't eat beef or pork. I can't even eat beef or pork. But that's going to be something we're going to talk about is how we create our food. But the biggest thing here is that there's some natural fires that are happening within the Amazon that's dissipated a bit more, but it has killed the Amazon is one of the main sources for where we get oxygen in our planet, and a substantial amount of the Amazon keeps burning and keeps being taken away. I get there's the whole financial aspect with what is it, Brazil. I get the whole that's their land. They need to be able to make money for it. I think there's ways that we can find ways to support that as well here. But it's something with how many trees are being burned currently in South America as well as Africa. We are losing a huge amount of our trees, in which therefore the amount of oxygen going into the atmosphere is plummeting right now. And the first step that we have to do is we have to increase the amount of oxygen that's going into the atmosphere, because the O2 gas levels are too much here. That if we don't resolute the forest and the natural forest and how many trees are on our planet here, then it's a point of no return. Now, granted, trees are not going to be the all-end solution here, but that's the first step of what we need to do. Is we need to get back to a normal of being able to plant 1 billion trees. And I believe that scientists were saying in the next 12 to 18 months. I don't want to do the sourcing tonight because that's going to be in a future episode. We'll go over that in more detail. But we really do need to plant a crap ton of trees in a very quick amount of time for the opportunity to save the planet. That's not going to save the planet, for the opportunity to save the planet.
Right. This is why. So you're not saying necessarily that. This is the one that has. If you put every environmental issue on a time clock and you look at those clocks, if any of these clocks run out, we're fucked.
Correct.
The one that's running out
no
the
point of return.
the one that's running out the fastest is this whole tree thing. So we got to get ahead of that first to buy us
It's
enough
the
time
CO2
to
levels.
right
Correct.
enough. We got to get ahead of that first to buy enough time. What you're saying, to buy enough time to address all of the other clocks that are running out.
Exactly. And so we're going to pull up one more article, and then, we're going to kind of get into the wrapping phases here. Is that, this is from BBC here. Mr. Matt McGrath, awesome job of this article here. I really encourage you guys to read it.
Follow him at Matt McGrath, BBC.
Of course, because, why not?
Yeah. Tell him to come on our show.
Yep, exactly. Link for this article is going to be in our bio here. But, and this is kind of a real deal here, is that it's asking like, hey, there was this philosophy of, okay, hey, we have a decade. We have a decade to turn things around. We have a decade to make things happen. But now it's not even, it's 18 months, 12 to 18 months is what we're projecting here. And you'll find here that it's just a point where if CO2 levels currently are at a point that it has never existed since humans have been on the planet. We're talking about pre-humans, we're at those CO2 levels. We don't know how we're going to react to it.
Yeah, but Alex, I mean, the amount of time that on a if you look at it on a scale, the amount of time that humans have been on this planet is almost infinitesimal. It's barely even graphable.
Well, I agree, but look at how much we've killed the planet in the last 100 years.
Right. The argument could be made the other which way around. You're right.
It's extremely dangerous. Yeah. I think it's extremely scary. And this is something that not only do I want to make sure that we take care of here on an environmental level here, just in our organization here and what we're going to be doing here, I want to make sure that we're creating action behind it too. And so I'm going to go ahead and challenge you and I. I'm going to challenge you and I to do something here. I want to create and I appreciate you writing notes. I'm going to let you talk in a minute. I know I talk a lot.
I want to go ahead. Whatever you say right now.
Perfect, great. I want to challenge you and I want to create a business coalition. I've been thinking about this for a little bit here. I want to create a business coalition in Denver where several businesses can partner up, and we're going to create some sort of one-for-one kind of thing of a donation. And I want to set a goal that we're going to plant 1 million trees. That we are going to be helping responsible for 1 million trees in 2020. And I'm hoping that we can challenge 100 other people to do this as well. And then that way we can make some huge dents into what we're doing. But I want you and I to be the first ones. And I'm going to actually put my money where my mouth is even one step further here. Because I have the fortune of being able to help run a couple businesses here in Denver. And I'm going to go ahead and say and announce here that we're going to start of this week, for every one vehicle that we work on in our shop will equal 1 tree planted. And then we're going to put our money right where it is.
It's huge.
And then one more thing we're going to do is I'd like to, on our website here, which will, is open debatepod.com, which will follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram here. I want to put on there, we're going to track how many trees we're doing here. And I'm going to also challenge the viewers to donate. and not to us, because again, we're not going to take any money. If this ends up being where there's a financial
that's
amount
what I
that's
was
into
gonna
this,
say.
I want us to commit every dollar into planting trees. Because again, what I hate about news and what I hate about the newsroom and I hate about CNN, MSNBC, and Fox is that they talk, but they never really make the effort of change. And I really do believe that government needs to be responsible for social change, and businesses and individuals need to be for the actual physical change of those social aspects. And so we're going to put our money where our mouth is here. And so that's what my businesses are going to be doing. And I'd like for you and I to start a coalition so that we can be able to help really develop and really, watch people what we can do and how we do it.
Okay, so let me get this straight. You want to plant, you're challenging me to help you plant 1 million trees by 2020.
1 million in the next 12 months. Yep.
No, in the next month. By the end of 2020?
Yeah, end of 2020.
Oh, yes, this is much better.
And not going to happen in a month. I love whoever is going to be our viewers, and I love our viewership. But we need to be able to get partnerships. I want it to be where we have several businesses, and so I want it to be where we'll keep you guys updated on our show, on Instagram, on Facebook, and on Twitter here. But it's something that I want to challenge us to build a coalition. And here's the goal for 2019. We're going to find 10 businesses to commit to us by the end of this year.
I got it. 10 businesses.
And so I think it would be something that would be really fun and something that would be able to be trackable. And that's one thing we're going to do on the show a lot too, is that with each issue, and not every issue, but with certain issues here, we're going to try to create an action plan, because we are people who like rolling up our sleeves. We don't like to just bitch and moan about everything. We like rolling up our sleeves, getting dirty, and creating change. Okay, sorry. I'd like to be physically able to create change.
Nice.
And that's what we're saying.
Like to bitch and moan about things.
Exactly. Well, I want to drag your ass along here. But that's something that we're going to do the same thing. If I'm going to if I have to call out Michael Bennett, if I have to call out Cory Booker, if I have to call out Andrew Yang to drop the race and donate your money.
Or Tom Steyer, or scroll down. Who else? I don't even know any of these people. We got.
I love how Julian Castro is still in this race. That's crazy to me. So anyway,
who is Steve Bullock?
Great questions here.
Bullock's
So again, I want it to be where we are creating a difference. We're backing one candidate that we're going to be able to make sure that we get Donald Trump out of office and really create effective change, grassroots. Because that's how this podcast started. Is we're grassroots, right?
Yeah. Hashtag grassroots. Hashtag beat Trump. Hashtag feel the burn. Hashtag gang gang.
Okay, I've got another weird question for you. Okay, because if we're gonna challenge the idea, okay, hey, we need to get behind one person, right? And they're gonna have a vice president. You and I both agree Bernie Sanders is the best choice for president of the United States.
Yeah,
not just on a level to beat Biden, but his policies as well. Who's vice president?
Elizabeth Warren, no doubt. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because I think they're closer together. And Pete Buttigieg. Why?
I want Mayor Pete.
Fuck Mayor Pete.
Wow.
Here's my problem.
Did you know that's coming from a straight guy too?
Yeah. Okay, hold on. You don't need to be outing me as straight. That's not nice.
My bad.
Although I appreciate it though, because I bet you this podcast will go out. Everyone thinks I'm the gay one. So.
Yeah. Well, I wonder how.
Can we go back to that? Can we go back to that? Can I?
To what?
The wherever you were just at before.
Yeah.
What did you do? Yeah. So okay. I think he may make for a better VP in the sense that he's kind of a little more neutral than Warren.
About for the party.
For the party?
Yeah.
I mean, not for the party. For beating Trump, maybe. That may be the case. But I feel like if just true to true, who makes more sense as a VP to Bernie Sanders, it's Warren. Only because they're politically and policy-wise, they're a little more aligned. In fact, aren't they sharing a couple policies at this point?
Oh, absolutely. Okay, let me open this up here just a touch here, okay?
Yeah.
Because we already know the argument that's going to be coming from the Trump presidency and from the Trump campaign here is age. Now, granted, Donald Trump is old as can be, but Bernie Sanders had a real health scare, and I know that's a lot of people viewers. When I was watching the last Democratic debate, I can't the questions, and I loved how Bernie Sanders kind of illustrated and answered the question to why are you running for president after your heart attack? And he says, hey, listen, I'm healthy, I'm fighting. This is something that we need for the country here. So let's go ahead and take the Republican point of view for a second.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say Bernie Sanders is the Democratic nominee.
Yeah, the
Man, that
Donald
sounds
Trump
so
point of
good,
view.
doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
It really
feels
does.
nice.
So let's say Bernie Sanders is a Democratic nominee, and whoever the vice president is, they're going to argue that's who you're really voting for. Because
Yeah,
in case
like the
something
McCain
happens to
Palin
Sanders,
thing.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. In case, and that's also crap.
Right.
But let's say that just a personal opinion.
Okay.
But let's go ahead and say that Sanders wins, and we have the VP. I mean,
Uh-huh.
how important is the vice president pick in this year's election?
Big. It's huge. Yeah.
Why do you think that?
Just because he's older, it's fine. It's going to be an argument that's going to be made. I think he can live at least another 15 years. No problem.
Is it the same argument that you make? Let's say that Vice President Biden gets the nominee. Does Vice President is it the same argument? Is
more so? That guy's
Really?
fucking yeah. I don't know.
even though,
I
even
don't
though
know.
that Bernie's older?
Bernie's older and has a heart attack. Sure, I just think that Biden's ability to have thoughts, it sucks.
All right, so-
and I'm not trying to call him dumb. I just think that like his cognitive ability is kind of not there. And I mean, I don't see him dying of a massive heart attack necessarily, but
Let me ask one more question.
yeah, maybe
that-
he'll go senile and just start running around the White House in his underwear. Anyway.
Well, who wouldn't want to do that? If you were president, wouldn't you do that?
Yeah, for sure. That's why
Okay,
I'm not
I was
running for
gonna.
president.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're on the same page here. All right, so let's go ahead and take the other side here, because one thing that's aggravating to me, and I'm also going to call this out, is that this impeachment process is probably one of the worst things to happen to the Democratic
No, hold
Party.
on. You go back.
Whoa.
Go back. Sorry, you
I
can't
already
do that.
said 5 words.
You got to pick your fucking VP. Who's your VP?
Oh,
But why? With
Bernie?
Mayor Butt.
Man, that one's tough. I on a personal level, I would like Mayor Pete.
Why?
I think that it would be something that was the future. It's the future of the party. I think that he's young enough and he will be able to articulate and bring off Bernie Sanders' idea after his 8-year term presidency. After that 8th year, if I'm not running for president by then, of course, wink, wink. It would have to be Pete. I mean, he would be able to carry the policies from. I mean, look.
Do you think
look at what happened with Obama and Biden. Biden really should have ran when he was going against Trump, because then the Obama's policies could have continued seamlessly with Biden as president. I think that with Bernie going in as the president, I think Pete will be able to create that same
You
transition.
don't think
as
Warren
Bernie.
can do that? I think Warren could do that.
I'm not saying that she can't. I'm not saying that she can't, and I'm sure she would do it very well. And I think that whoever is the real nominee, I'm sure every single candidate is going to back him to 100% here.
Her.
Or him or her, correct. My bad. Thank
Not
you.
really though, because Warren's not going to get it.
I
but-
think it's going to be Bernie still. But I think that
Yeah.
one thing I love about Senator Warren is that she's very passionate about what she's talking about, and she's a phenomenal leader who has a lot of great ideas where it's really
But can you
her
can
way
you
or,
say
or
that
the highway.
can you say that she's more passionate or more of a phenomenal leader than Bernie, the guy that it has led more of an organic campaign?
They're different, and that's exactly the point. I think is that what we're seeing is that Bernie attracts millennials. I'm a millennial, right? I think that Bernie drives a very passionate idea and draws out the biggest crowds because of the engagement process. It's an engagement process. Whereas with Senator Warren, as phenomenal as she is, and I love a lot of her ideas, I think it's something that Senator Warren it is more of a down to the book. Be able to be a book aspect, making sure that it's the government that's creating the policy. It's the government that's creating the change. And yes, I agree with that here, but I'm a bigger believer in grassroots movement. And that's what Bernie Sanders does way better than any other candidate, is that he's really able to grasp an idea of grassroots.
Yeah.
And into the engagement. You're buying in. It's a leader. You're buying into the thing. I mean,
Right.
I've never felt, look at our podcast, right? If this was, someone else here that I don't, if I didn't feel strongly about Bernie Sanders here, I'm not sure if I would be as much of an advocate in doing this because of the grassroots aspect that Bernie really preaches.
Yeah.
Personally.
Something to take away from for sure.
It's interesting. I think the whole democratic process is very interesting, actually.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, you hit it all on the head there. My only point to that is that I don't know much about Mayor Pete or his policies, but from what I could get from
We're going to find out on the show.
Yeah, what I get from his website is that he is nowhere near as aligned with Bernie as Sanders is. So let's say you pair
It's different for sure.
You pair them together. Bernie does croak. He comes in and he's like, "Yeah, no, we're gonna back out of a few of those things. I never liked him anyway.
I think he's a follower.
I thought that guy was crazy."
I mean, as much of a leader as he is, I think he's more of a follower.
Pete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
You might
something
be
that gets
right
him, and
about
that's really good people. And
Yeah,
that's
but then like Warren, I don't know. I mean, and you also think the other thing you got to consider about this is that if we're gonna rank the importance of priorities for the president, So you got to put way up
The
there.
president or the election?
No, the president. So if
Okay.
you're going to say the president, what is the most important thing the president does? I would say, and right now, especially considering who's in office, is there a figurehead? Okay, so you look, and
Yeah.
we forget that until we get some
I agree.
crazy fucking guy in office is fucking shit up by being a psychotic figurehead. He's representing the country in a very, very aggressive and malicious way. So now I take a look at these people up here. Who do I want to be the figurehead representing us to all of the other countries in the world? It's Bernie, and it's not Warren. I mean, I like her. I think she's passionate, but I also, I think that she can be a little, I don't know, not my taste.
All
She
right.
took a cheap shot at Biden in the last debate. And
Is that
pissed
why
me off.
you-
Yeah.
okay.
I hate the guy too, but I was like,
Whatever.
really?
So,
She's-
so when the other candidates make the cheap shot, do you make the same thing? Or, whoa, you wouldn't say that if that was a guy, dude. No way.
Yes, I would.
We're really, dude. When
he was being-
have you called anyone a bitch tonight that's a male?
they weren't being a bitch.
Okay, whatever. I disagree. We're not even going to go down that route here. I'll let you, the viewers, do that. Comments are below here. Go ahead and say Brandon is a sexist.
And that's the
It's
point.
okay.
That's the point. Yeah, you want to label me a sexist, whatever. We're just trying to drive awareness and get people
I
riled
agree.
up.
You know I love
I
you.
want
You know
people
it's
to
a
be
joke.
mad. Now, look.
All right, so let me
you
go
know
ahead
what
and piss
you
people
know what I'm
off
talking
here.
about.
All right, let me piss people off here. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I hate this impeachment process. It's the worst thing that happened with the Democratic Party. We're gonna lose this election because we keep going down the impeachment
my
process.
God,
If you
that's-
watch the Republican Party, they're already changing their tone about this whole thing. And so we'll go into this in future episodes here as well.
Yeah.
It's hard
That's
to give
what
you
I'm
guys
trying to say.
spoiler alerts here. By the way, it happens all the time here. But anyway, the
But
impeachment
this
process.
This is just.
If you
yeah.
impeach Trump, whether if it's in this term or the next term, you know who the president of the United States would be? Mike Pence. Who's worse, Mike Pence or Donald Trump?
don't know.
Comment below. Let me know.
Yeah,
I would go ahead
straight
and
up.
vote that Mike Pence is worse than Donald Trump because Mike Pence knows what he is doing.
Yeah.
Donald doesn't.
Yeah.
We need to change the presidency.
And I
we
think-
need. It's so important that people get out and vote in 2020. We have to change who's in the White House. This is an extremely dangerous and very toxic person here. I please bring back George W. Bush. I would prefer him 100 times over Donald Trump
Jesus.
or Mike Pence because
Yeah.
it's so dangerous.
I appreciate
It's
you saying that
extremely
because now
dangerous.
everyone's gonna forget the thing that I just said because you just like outed yourself.
You're welcome.
Because thank you.
This is my show
You're
now.
welcome. Mic drop. Yeah, that it's kind of interesting how perspective works because now you can go back and look at all the things that everyone used to freak out about with George Bush and the way he would represent himself, and it was like, oh yeah, sure, he seemed like kind of an idiot at times.
9/11, dude.
Yeah,
I'm telling you.
9/11.
And I know it's the same case that every Republican makes. And I want to dedicate not the next few points because we have a very serious issue, a matter of hand. We need to change who's the president of the United States. We need to change who's in office here. But I would love to dedicate one episode in the next coming months to George Bush and how he handled 9/11 and how he will be viewed as one of the greatest presidents, even though he has some crazy ass ideas.
You don't think it was him? It was an inside job or whatever the hell?
No.
That all those people.
Oh
think?
no. Yeah, and here's the thing: is that and most thing that the thing that really makes me be able to look up to Bush here, and I can't believe I said that. I know you can't believe you heard that. I'm sorry, mom, dad, grandparents. I'm really sorry about that. But it's one thing that I can admire.
Fuck, your grandparents might like that.
I don't know, just one really.
Yeah.
I don't think she would even listen to this. Sorry, Grandma Laurel, if you do. But anyway, it's something though that one thing that like you go in as president of the United States, and you expect to make a legacy. Look at the legacy that Trump's leaving here.
Yeah.
9 months after George Bush took president, his legacy was defined for him.
Yeah.
It wasn't defined because of his policy or his action. His legacy was defined because of 9/11.
Yeah.
And the way he was composed about it, and I get it. He was sitting in the book, or in the classroom, whatever. But are you really going to scare 20 children? I mean,
I
again,
know.
I'd like to dedicate an episode to that because that's something that I think
we're
Bush
gonna
did
do.
very
We're gonna
well.
do. We're gonna do an expose on George Bush, the good, the bad, and the funny.
All right,
And,
here's the best part.
I'll
You
take
ready?
the funny part.
And
You can
we're
do the
gonna
rest.
go ahead and pivot back to us and our show here because it's gonna be something that every single week here
Yeah.
we are gonna be driving for change. You know, both Brandon and I went to a school called the Open School. You guys can read about it online and etc. here, but it's something here where they created goals for every student, and there was really one goal that stuck with me, and there was one goal that really kind of I think figured who I am today, and that's to create the world that ought to be. And I think that's something that we're going to be doing here is that we're going to be driving creating action. We're going to put our money where our mouth is. We're going to put our words where our actions are. And it's going to be something that we are going to be driving change, because our main goal is to understand policies, understand who's running, call out where it needs to be, hold people accountable, and then drive change. That's grassroots. I don't know what that is.
But we're not just going to influence change. We're not just
going to talk. Yeah, we're not going to be talking.
We're going to go there and do it.
We're going to lead the way. And here's the thing about this here is that I think that, you know, with every person who does a podcast, and as awesome as they are, and I know this is a very crowded space and this is a very crowded area here, but I think the people who talk and is the loudest, I mean, this has worked for you and I in the past and our success and what we've done in the state capital in Colorado, is that we were always the ones who kept emailing and kept calling and kept showing up to be able to testify on bills here. Yeah. We were there often. We kept talking. We kept hearing things, and that's what actually created action, because our whole concept here is creating the idea of action and having a true and pure grassroots movement in a time of crisis and when we need it most, and which is this year and right now. We must create change right now. 2020 is a very pivotal year, not just for our country, but for the human race. And I think that if we make some massive decisions and we head down the wrong way, there's going to be a point of no return. And it's going to be extremely frightening for you, me, and everyone.
So we're going to take action by trying to save the environment with this coalition of businesses. And then I want to challenge you again. So we're going to influence a movement with the podcast. We're going to challenge ideas. We're going to help educate. We're going to help influence all that. And then I would like to challenge you, and this is a real idea that I just had. I think both you and I need to volunteer for a campaign, and maybe a different campaign.
Why different? If we believe in the same candidate, why different? I mean, if we're making the whole
we
point
both
of this grassroots.
feel in the burn. That's fine. But then maybe we can go pump up whoever we think VP should be and try and help them, throw them a bone. Maybe I'll go on that one because I'll be less help than you will.
That'd be very interesting. All right, so here's what we're going to do, okay? Because next week here, we've got a couple ideas for how we're going to be handling it. But next week, I believe, is Andrew Yang. Is that correct?
Yeah. So next week we're going to take on not all of Andrew Yang. We're just going to use him as a highlight. One of his policies.
Two policies, I thought.
Two policies.
I thought it was two policies. I thought we were going to talk about the voting.
Everyone should vote.
Requirement of voting, and then $1,000 a month.
Oh, you want to talk about the freedom
dividend?
dividend?
I do.
Okay. So we'll talk about two things. We'll talk about universal basic income, and then his version, the freedom dividend, and then we'll talk about whether or not everyone should be required to vote.
That one's gonna be fun. I think it's gonna be very interesting.
And we're gonna bring in. So the whole point of the podcast is bringing a proponent and an opponent. As we get bigger and stronger, we're gonna bring in people that are more experts. We're gonna dip into our community for this one and bring in some people that are a little more educated on Andrew Yang and his policies.
And be completely transparent.
Over there.
We are not experts in this industry. No. It's something we have massive opinions. The whole point, we call it open debate because we have to have opinions. We are going to fact check those opinions here in case we need to, be able to help result to where things are. Hopefully our minds get changed. Hopefully someone comes on here, shows us why we're wrong here. But until you can prove that I am wrong here, I'm going to urge everyone to drop out of the race and throw every single support to Bernie Sanders. Donate your money, put your money where your mouth is, and we need to make a change this year. Yeah. And so also on that here, we are going to create a live feed next week. That's one thing we did not do this week. Purposely, because it's jitterbugs, of course.
Gonna go.
But I think it went great actually. I'm really glad we did this here.
I did a great job.
I think so too. 10 out of 10 here for you. But we're gonna go live here. We're gonna put the link here where we're gonna go live here next week here as well. And then that way that you, the viewers, can contribute to the conversation here. That if you have questions, if you have ideas, if you have an opinion, if you wanna open up the debate and you wanna be able to call in, that we can be able to do that as well. That's also gonna be next week here. So then follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Facebook.
Email us.
It's all at Open Debate, POD for pod at gmail.com. Open Debate Pod on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, and it's Open Debate on YouTube. I appreciate this week. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Thanks, pal. Let's see what's open for debate next week.
Yeah, this is going to be really interesting. I'm Alex.
This is Brandon.
Good night.